recording here. How nice is this? I just got it. Preview it right there.
I don't understand any of what's going on right now.
You just show up.
He sent me a picture yesterday where he was sitting right here and right there.
Impressive.
Blew my mind.
Oh, that is very basic photo editing. Cool. All right. Hello and welcome to the New City Podcast, where we exist to renew the Quad Cities by restoring the health of its people. I am Jarek Bakken here with Dr. Alex Arguello and our wonderful guest today, Khloe. Let's see if I pronounce your last name right. Beaird?
Yeah, that's
Khloe
right.
Beaird of Prep to Table.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So, in one sentence, what is Prep to Table?
Prep to Table is a meal prep business where we make gluten-free and organic ingredient meals that are ready to heat and eat for the convenience for our family. Yep.
Ready to heat and eat. I like the rhyming there. Is that intentional? Did you put that together?
Yep.
That's awesome. Cool. Sweet. So, man, like let's take it back and just get a little bit of background on who you are.
Okay.
Yeah. Tell us about yourself.
All right. Well, I am now a certified integrative health and nutrition coach. But prior to this, I was a teacher for about 8 years. I grew up in a really small town, went to, I'll tell you a little bit about my health background while I'm there, but excuse me. So growing up, I had like a ton of health issues, and, I just grew up eating food like the standard American diet, a little bit healthier than that maybe, but like over the years had a ton of health issues, and then went to college. Things just progressively got worse. In college you're not eating the best of foods and making the best health choices, and my health just started to deteriorate. But I, through those experiences, while I was at college, I met my husband and I graduated. I went to school first to be a teacher, and I taught for 8 years. We moved to the Quad Cities, and while we've been here, I've had 3 children now, and so I just started. Sorry,
you're fine. You're fine.
For
first time with the microphone dangling from your face.
I'm sorry.
It's okay to have some troubles with it.
Yeah. So we have 3 kids now, So with my health, I went back for health coaching because I really wanted to help people.
Yeah.
I changed my diet completely after having my second child, which was sick of dealing with those same health symptoms. So I went back for the health coaching and just fell in love with helping people with that.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you've done some health coaching with people?
Yeah. So I worked at a doctor's office for 2 years doing individual one-on-one coaching.
Oh, cool.
Just helping people really eliminate things from their diet. Just changing from standard American diet to, how can we give you the foods that you want, and just making little tweaks in their diets.
Yeah,
sure.
That was here in the Quad Cities?
Yeah, yep. It was, in Davenport at Mandela Integrative Medicine.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. So you said you grew up with very close to, maybe slightly better than the standard American diet.
Yeah.
Paint a picture of that for us.
Okay. So we did not go out to eat a lot growing up. So my mom was a very good cook. I came from a long line of really good cooks, like just eating in the home, eating at the table. But she was also loved to make the sweets. So everything that tasted really, really good, she would make. So I would always eat vegetables. Like for me, I was never a picky eater. Just loved trying different things, loved eating all the different foods. One of my sisters is the opposite of that, very, very picky. But so for me, I just always loved trying new foods. But so we ate a lot of good foods. It was home cooked, but there was also a lot of sugar in there too. So
sure.
Yeah. Okay. What was like the first sign of something is not right?
Well, So growing up, I had asthma, allergies, recurring infections, just like would constantly feel like I had to go to the doctor for something, to get medication, antibiotics, things that like my parents, not that it's their fault, and the doctors that I was seeing kind of made me just believe that's just how my body was working. I would say in college, when I was having infections and having to be put on antibiotics every single month for over a year. So I was on an antibiotic continuously for a year. And if you know about gut health and how that kills off all the healthy bacteria in your body, that was not good. So then from there, the symptoms just got worse, like digestive issues, horribly, like where I couldn't even leave the house at times without being worried about that issue, which isn't something I love to discuss, but at the same time, it's like,
that's real.
It's real, and it was scary. So my dad and my brother both actually have celiac disease. And so I went to a doctor and I thought, we're going to get some answers here. I've got to do something different. I walked in, told him my symptoms, told him that my brother and dad were both just diagnosed with celiac disease. Like, can we do something? And I was given another prescription, like, here, come back in 3 months if you're not better. So I just walked away and knew that I had to do something on my own. Like, conventional medicine is great for so many things, but it wasn't working for this issue.
Yeah.
So I took matters into my own hands, and I first I took away gluten, then dairy, then eggs and soy and corn, and I just started taking things out of my diet just to see what was causing these issues.
Yeah.
And I really think more than anything, I think I do have a dairy sensitivity, but more than anything, I think it was just cleaning up my diet and just getting some of that stuff out and healing my gut and taking probiotics and eating fermented foods and doing all the things that you need to do. So, yeah.
So you did that on your own?
Yeah. Well, so during that time I did that on my own. Then I went back to school for the health certification. So then I was kind of learning new things, and through the help of that program, I feel like, did it on my own.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was hard because you're trying to feed a family, so I had 2 kids and my husband was a very selective eater. And so I was trying to make healthy food taste not healthy, for my family. So they would still want to eat it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think we can get into the family of how what you do now has impacted your family. What if we could get here, and this might be a completely different direction when you were wanting to go, but I always try to figure out because I have a similar story to you, like what was it about you were sick, you were having all these issues, and you went to a doctor, didn't get the answers that you wanted. What made you say, I'm going to figure this out? Instead of, well, I just need to see a different doctor, or, well, this is just how I'm going to be the rest of my life, so I have to take the medication, whatever route you were going to go there.
I think because my dad and my brother were both feeling better through changing their diet, and this was kind of new information to me. Like, it was kind of a new concept that, like, okay, if you just stop eating these things and you put more of this in your body, then you're going to feel better. Like, the symptoms go away. I think that we're taught that, like, IBS is a normal thing. You should, like, that's just something some people have, rather than it's a symptom of, something
Isn't that the
else
weirdest thing?
Yeah.
I mean, it is normal,
Yeah.
but what you just said is, if I just take these things out of my diet that are bad, and I give myself these things that are good, then I'll start feeling better.
It's so simple, but it's not something.
But it's foreign. Like you said, it's foreign because we're trained in a certain way that says, live however you want, and then if you get a symptom, let's treat that symptom. Right? Let's get rid of it with a medication or surgery, whatever it is going to be.
Yep.
Right. So, were you did you have any awareness that the advice you were getting was just wrong, or were you like, this just isn't working for me? Like, where was your head at when you're being told to do this, take these antibiotics, all this stuff, and things just aren't getting better?
Sure.
Like, was it their fault? Was it your fault? Like, where was your head at with all that?
Yeah, I mean, I think not educating myself, I guess, on what an antibiotic, taking that all the time, would actually do to your body.
Sure.
I know we talked about that in high school and science and college probably too, like the damage that it can do, but you think that that's like abusers or people that just abuse the system and just keep taking these medications over and over again. I didn't really think that a doctor would prescribe me something that could potentially do so much damage over time. And I'm not saying they intentionally did that. I think they were probably really trying to help me, but
Yeah.
It's the only tool they had.
Right. It's the only thing that they had to offer. And
Right.
but yeah, I knew leaving that doctor's office the way that, you know, the way that I was treated, there was no relationship. He didn't try to get to know me or my past or really look at my previous records or anything. So.
Right. Pretty formulaic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, like, what Alex was trying to get at, you know, like, what causes you to like take things into your own hands? But then, like, what do you do? Like, where's the first place you go to try to say, like, there's got to be something else?
Right.
Dr. Oz.
Yeah. Well, the first thing that I did was start looking at ingredients. You've got to know the ingredients of what's going into your mouth. And I had the help of my brother, who was just going through this, that kind of just said, you know, try these brands instead of that. Now I know that there's health coaches that are doing this. You know, I would be happy to do these consultations if somebody's looking for that kind of help, just to find some substitutions for the things that you're eating. But it's the easiest way to go about it is to just eat whole foods. Like, I was trying to find replacements for the processed foods, and that's good. You need some of those too. But really, if you just stick to the basics, like, you know, fruits and vegetables and meat and like minimal dairy or, you know, minimal animal product, and eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, you know, grains, nuts, seeds.
So your dad and your brother were all of a sudden heightened to this magical thing called gluten that now they've got to be on the lookout for this in all of these foods. So they're really keen on, now we read ingredient labels, right? And so that heightened awareness, like that's the thing that like got you going.
Right.
That's so simple.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
It is, yeah. Yeah, it changed the way that, you know, my whole family ate, because when we got together for family dinners, my mom was the one that cooked most of the food, and now she's like, okay, these are Dad's brownies, these are your brownies. Like, don't eat Dad's. But we would try the stuff, and it'd be like, yeah, it doesn't really taste much different.
Sure.
You know, still good. So.
Yeah. That's so. Okay, maybe I should ask this question first. Did you experience relief from the symptoms you were having?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I would say within 2-3 months, the symptoms were gone, and now I don't have any symptoms. I don't have, like, I'm barely allergic to anything. I mean, like, cats bother me sometimes, but no more asthma issues. No recurring infections, no digestive issues. I'm pretty much have relieved all of my symptoms that I faced before. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, well, there's one doctor in the room, but what I tell people is, like, when they've got some type of symptom happening, right? Do I know that I understand what it takes to basically get an end result of health? Yes. Am I a doctor who's diagnosing your symptoms of XYZ condition 1, 2, 3? Like, absolutely not, right? But what you just described is when you eliminated the stuff that was interfering with your body obtaining health, and you started maximizing the things that it needed. So that's what we call our first principle of health. Give the body what it needs, stay away from what it doesn't. This is how we obtain health. Our second principle is we need to eat real food most of the time.
Right.
You did those two things, and all of a sudden, like,
life-changing, yeah.
Those two things are life-changing for you, right?
And I don't even have to be perfect all the time, you know? It's not like I don't ever have, you know, ice cream or, you know, I used to be very, very, very strict. Like, I wouldn't touch it at all. But but I've come to realize that, like, I have to keep my sanity too. Mental health is also very, very important. And everything, I believe, in moderation is okay. You know, you can have it. It's just, you know, should you be eating it all the time? No, probably not. So I try to do like once a week, you know, like I can have an ice cream and it doesn't affect my stomach.
Yeah.
Too bad. So.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. So how do we get from gosh, I've experienced all this great change personally to, man, I should share the good news.
Yeah. Well, do you mean with like my career change and all those
Yeah,
things?
yeah. What happens first?
So I was teaching, and I got involved with Mandela Integrative Medicine. I had met those guys, and they're great people. My brother-in-law, Aaron Howard, is also was a very big health advocate in the community, having events and things like that. And so I started learning about this stuff, right? And so I was like, I just want to do something different. Like I didn't want to teach in a public school setting forever, and I knew that. So when I got the certification, I quit my job. I started working at Mandela. I worked there for 2 years, and then I had my third child, and I just decided that it was time to start a new business when she was 2 months old, which is crazy. But yeah, that's kind of how we got there. Is that what you were asking as far as like, starting the new job?
You can affirm if this is true. You had kind of a burden that said, I have more to do than just teaching in the school system.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is a great job. A lot of good people there. I just wasn't the right fit for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I thought she was going to say that she couldn't stand watching the kids eat the food that they are served at school,
man,
so she had to leave.
Bad. Oh yeah. That's a huge problem. That was hard to watch too. But yeah.
So I know that your business has changed and altered a little bit.
Yeah.
Tell us about where you started.
With Prep to Table?
If I am not mistaken, it had a different name.
Oh, yes. Teat to Table.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a funny story. All right, so when I first started this, I wanted to help moms transition their babies from the teat. That's where the name came from. From breastfeeding to the healthy foods, because I feel like that's really where it starts. So first child transitioned her to like baby food, like spoon-fed, pureed, packaged baby food. Second child gave her broccoli or this baby-led weaning stuff, where her first foods were real foods that she could pick up and feed to herself. First child now prefers all the junk. Second child loves vegetables, will eat salads and things. So it's just completely different. So I wanted to help moms. I felt like if we could get the first foods in their mouth to be whole foods, real foods, that would lead to healthier children, which my sister and I kind of I didn't think that this was going to grow in this direction, first of all, but Teat to Table, we're like, that's just kind of a funny name. It was just supposed to be a health coaching helping moms. Well, then it became, that was my LLC. So then I started the meal prep business, and I had to change it because I didn't want people to be confused with
sure,
where the food was coming from or anything like that. So yeah, that's how we changed the name from Teat to Table to Prep
cool.
to
Are you
Table.
still doing any of that consulting? Or?
No, not really. I
Okay.
mean, I'm starting to do more just nutrition consulting,
Sure.
but not really with the moms. I mean, I would love to do something with that, because that's really where my passion was feeding my family and stuff. But right now, it's not happening. So.
Right. Is that with your kids? Is that the first time that it went from just a personal experience to now you're using this knowledge that you've acquired personally to affect somebody else?
Yeah.
With your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yep.
That's cool. Okay. So.
So then I started cooking. Sorry, I was going to tell you this, but I started cooking for people in their homes because I was sharing recipes on social media and just taking pictures of my food, and people were like, will you just come cook for me? Or I had a guy one time ask me what you're saying to do as a health coach is great and all, and it's what I should do, but I don't have the time. Will you just come cook for me in my home? And I was like, well, let me think about that. So I did. Excuse me. I did that for a year before I was like, well, if I had one place, I could make a lot more meals.
Yeah.
One location. So.
Yeah. So you were going to people's houses.
Yes, as a personal chef.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had 4 or 5 clients that I would go to regularly and just cook for them in their home. And I would make the food. A lot of times they weren't even there. Just make the food, leave it in the fridge, and clean up and go on my way.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you realize I can help a whole lot more people if I kind of centralize this and scale it.
Yep.
All right. So how'd that transition go?
So I found, my sister actually found a commercial kitchen for me at the Spotlight Event Center in Moline, which is still where we are.
And your sister's a realtor.
Yeah, she is a realtor. Yep. And she knew Adam Bain, which he's a banker, and he had just bought the building with Blake Humphrey, and they own it still. And they're like, we have this space, and we have only one person using it, and it's like, is it 2,000 square feet? I forget the size of it, but it's a pretty big kitchen. And
Big old kitchen.
Yeah, and there was just a baker in there, and they're like, if you want to share it. So I ended up doing that, and the baker's gone, but now it's Lock 14 Damn Good Salsa's there, and then Whoa Pizza is still there, which is a keto pizza.
Yeah.
And bakery.
And donuts.
And donuts, and the.
Familiar with those.
Yeah, and I think he just launched a sauce too. He does a lot of different things.
Oh, nice.
So, yep.
How scary was that?
It was really scary. I can remember my husband and I sitting down and talking like, okay, well, here's what you'll need to do. Like, here's the numbers you're going to need to get to for this to be successful. And that seemed really far off. And I tried to get my rent down and down and down because I'm thinking, like you second guess yourself. But
right.
I knew that this is really what I wanted to do. And I think when you know, and then especially now, like I found it, like I'm so glad I went for it because I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. So
Yeah,
scary.
Yeah.
Big risk for my family, especially having a 3-month-old when I signed the lease. So I mean that's like my third child, and that's crazy.
Yeah.
Looking back at it, but I didn't really have a choice. I had to go do something. With my time. So
that's awesome. All right, so describe to us the services that Prep to Table offers.
All right, so we have the individual meals, which we've had since the beginning. So everything is pre-portioned to one person.
I'm going to eat this for lunch.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. And then we do have our sweet treats, which I brought. Do you want me to show?
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you got in there?
These are chocolate chip cookies. Do you want me to show the camera like that?
It's far away, but.
Okay. So these are made gluten-free and dairy-free. So instead of, like, we take all of our food and we'll take an original recipe and we'll say, what can we take out of it?
Yeah.
And keep it still tasting good. So like, can we take less, we make it with less animal products. So instead of butter, we use coconut oil. Instead of milk, we'll use almond milk. Instead of, they were frozen. Sorry, they may still be a little hard. So we freeze all of our treats. That way we can keep them for longer and then you can just like microwave them here. That's made with coconut sugar instead of sugar.
Sure.
The chocolate chips do have a little sugar in them, so you're getting that there. But they are just our little sweet treats. So that's one thing we offer. And then we've just started doing family meals that feed 6 people. And we're doing like very easy meals for people to enjoy. Like I always try to get like a ton of a ton of vegetables in my meals, but I understand like most kids do not love vegetables. That's just the reality, and it's sad. But so I try to get like maybe 1 or 2 vegetables in there.
Sure.
And then it's family-friendly meals. So we did like tater tot casserole last week. We're gonna do like a traditional lasagna on Friday, and just starting to do those. We are doing macros for people who want to meet some nutrition goals. And I'm offering free consultations for those right now to get people. And then we'll just take we have like a, baseline of macros. And then if people want to add more or take some away, then we'll make those for them. So,
sure.
yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yep.
Awesome. So, what's your response been like since you get into this kitchen or like, hey, I can do all kinds of this stuff now? Like, what's the response been since you started?
It's been great. A little up and down more than I would like, but it's been so like we started doing like 35 meals a week, and then by like the spring we were doing like 215. Like it was just like a huge jump, like a scary jump, like too fast. So then in the fall last year, because we're so new at this, it's hard to know like what's going to be the normal. But so like the fall last year, we had kind of a dip, like things went down. So I was afraid this month would be low again, but we've been doing fine. Because August was lower last year. And so then November and December were actually really tough months. So I've got to figure out a way to keep things going. And I'm thinking about doing some like meal prep classes.
Sure.
Like I've done one with kids, which was great. I just need to I think I was telling you earlier that I didn't really have childcare
Yeah.
until about like 3 weeks ago. So all these things that have been put on hold are now going to be put into action now that I've got some childcare for me. So yeah, we did that one class. It was great. And I want to do some, like maybe like mom's night out or something.
Cool.
To do some meal prepping and yeah. So yeah, everything since like COVID hit, we have been doing really well. So things have been
Did that help you?
for us. Yeah, I don't think it hurt for sure. I don't think it hurt. It's hard to tell because we were doing that well the year before. So it's like I said, we're so new. It's hard to tell what is going to be normal, but it definitely didn't hurt us. I would say
Sure.
We've been doing pretty solid all through the summer.
Cool. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Good.
Cool. Are you the sole person doing everything, or have you grown, or?
Yeah. So we have, no, I don't do everything. My husband is an accountant, so he does all the accounting
That's handy.
stuff for me. It's very handy. He does a lot that goes unnoticed, the spreadsheets for all the meals and the numbers and things. And then I have 2 meal preppers and a dishwasher that work with me too.
Okay,
And then we
cool.
have 2 delivery girls who help us out with
That's
that. Because
awesome.
after we prep all day, the last thing we want to do is go out and do 2 hours of deliveries
Sure.
and things. So they help us out with that.
Cool.
Yep. And then we're going to start. We've been doing Fridays. We do some family meals and sweets, and then we're going to expand to Wednesday too. So we'll be cooking Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Wednesdays will be like our sweets, and Fridays will be our family meals. And so everybody will pick up at the same time, but we'll be making them because I have that whole kitchen, and I need to be utilizing it more than just one day a week. So
yeah,
that's kind of the plan.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you even still have room to keep growing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I would love to. I
Yeah.
want to do. Yes, I've got a lot of ideas of things I want to do down there. Like,
Yeah. What's your vision? Like where are you aiming?
Yeah. So, I think things like, like baby food would be cool, like meal prepping baby food. I think people may be interested in that, like, healthier finger foods. I really, just want to grow. There's a certain, number that I really want to hit. I want to get to like 300 meals a week would be really cool. Just knowing that, like, that's a comfortable number that, for one, I have storage for in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
2, I feel like our group could handle those numbers and still be okay. And then, like, I think making kombucha down there, or canning stuff, or, making like, I've had somebody ask me to make some like bone broth
Sure.
and elderberry syrup, things
Sure.
like that would be really cool.
Yeah.
So just,
and like thinking about like with what you're doing, 300 meals that you sell is probably almost a direct line of 300 fast food meals that aren't sold.
yeah, right.
Like,
that's
because
the way
that
to
like
think about it.
that's what I know, like some of the people who are using your stuff, like that's literally what it is. Instead of going to Burger King, I have this meal ready to go.
Yep.
Like that's really powerful change.
Right. And it simplifies everything. You know how it is to cook for yourself, period. And then when you have a family and trying to, meet everybody's needs and get the nutrition in one meal, it's a lot of work. I mean, on average, I've read that I can save somebody 6 hours in a week. I mean, think about on average 6 hours. Like, that's a lot of time every single week.
Yeah. Yeah, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feed your own family?
So, well, I don't know how people function without meal prep, honestly, because now we're so dependent on it. So Mondays is the day that we prep. I come home. I usually get home around like 6:30, and we eat that food. And then that's what I eat every day for the rest till about Saturday.
Okay.
We get enough meals for about Saturday. And then my kids eat that meal. They're Monday, and they're eating that at least probably 2 or 3 times a week. That's their meals.
The food you're prepping in the kitchen.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, they just know Monday is meal prep night, and then they get that at least a couple lunches and maybe another dinner.
Cool.
Yeah. So
Eat partaking in your own product.
yeah. Yep. Yeah.
That's
It's
cool.
just so nice to be like, okay, dinner's ready, and we heat it up and it's ready to go.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So fast. Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
What else you got?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I would like to hear more about this vision. I mean, you mentioned something like additional services, I guess, that you want to add. But kind of going back to why you started this in the beginning, of connecting that to maybe what you would like to see. So if I could just help you out a little bit here, what we're trying to do is based off of this logo right here is we have this gym, but our vision is to renew the city, meaning we see a huge problem with the health of people across the planet, but we're here in this particular specific location. So we want to see this city be renewed, meaning we want to see change happen, a positive change happen by restoring the health of its people. So we want to see people get healthier, right? And so we have these services that we offer at our gym here for that purpose, right? To try to help people not only just come have a place to work out, but we want to be able to educate them in a way where they learn what's right about health, but then have a community of people to be able to implement that with.
Sure.
Is that something that you ever think about as far as like what your overall kind of goal is, mission is?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just ever since I changed the way that I eat and saw a huge difference, I mean, that's been like the biggest motivator is like, if you just knew that you could make these changes and you'd feel better, then the choices that you're making wouldn't be so hard. And then really like when I used to eat healthy, like I used to think I was eating healthy by eating, like following, I probably shouldn't use the name, but like the weight loss program that has you add up all your points. And then, I was still eating processed stuff, right?
Sure.
But I was following those points, which I would lose weight, which was the goal, but I wasn't feeling better. And I used to think eating that way was so boring. And you're basically starving yourself. Like, that's not a way to live. So my goal is to show people that healthy eating doesn't have to be boring. You don't have to be miserable. You know, like I use a lot of spices and herbs and natural flavors and trying to get as much plants into food as possible. And then I get criticized sometimes because my food is spicy, but like I like that. I feel like spice makes food not taste boring when it's a little bit more plain, especially if you're used to eating foods that are high in sugar, high in salt. And that's what a lot of us are used to eating. So I just want people to, with food especially, understand that you can still be satisfied when you're eating healthy. You don't have to be going to a fast food
Absolutely.
restaurant.
So one of the guys I like a lot, Mark Sisson with the Primal Kitchen.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So one of his things is like he's making all these sauces and, condiments and everything. And like his goal is basically, I want to create these things in a way that the more you use of it, the healthier your food gets.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Not like the reverse,
Takes it
right?
away, yeah.
Where like when we're adding these things that we think add the good flavor and whatnot, we're like making something worse. It's like, no, if we're using real food ingredients to add flavor to stuff, like I don't know who ever decided that chicken breast and broccoli and white rice was like, this is what you have to eat to be healthy, right? Like who said stuff has to be boring and completely tasteless, right? Like if we're using real foods that, like, you look at other guys, what's the dude's name? It's Darren, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Olean, you know what I'm talking about? He, like, his quest is to find like the most potent and dense superfoods in the entire world, because they're these unbelievable flavor profiles that, like, even the factory made stuff like can't even touch how good like these real foods are, right? But it's like that stuff is out there and good for you and tastes great. Like, why are we eating chicken breast and broccoli?
Right? Yeah. Yeah. And I think that it goes back to how we were raised and just, not being familiar with those foods, and just, it's not hard once you, I think, get used to the flavors and understand that that's good food. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. You got anything else?
I mean, I could go a number of different directions here.
Let's go.
Because you mentioned some, I think you said criticism Have you had anything else as far as, because there's all this, we teach somebody how to, here's what's healthy, and then the response might be, okay, I'm okay eating that, but I know my husband won't, or I know my kids won't eat that way.
Sure.
Have you had any sort of pushback like that, and then how you handle those type of things?
Yeah, we've definitely experienced that for sure. So I've got quite a few customers that feed their kids similarly to how I do, and just say, this is your food, and this is our food. This is the way we eat. So they will eat that food. I have a lot of customers who just supplement their lunches, though, like you said about the fast food. They just want to.
Yep.
They want to personally eat healthy, and I always talk to my health coaching clients before when I was helping them with their kids. Like, that is, to me, the most important thing is that mom and dad, they see mom and dad eating healthy. Yes, we need to get quality food in our kids when we can, but I feel like that has a bigger impact, that mom and dad are eating well, than actually what they're eating in the moment, because they're going to come back to those foods that they saw you eat, I feel like, and their first foods will always come back.
Sure.
So, yes, we've had pushback, I think, a little bit, but that's why we're going to start doing those family meals.
Yeah.
Because I want people to have options. I really think about, I'm scared for people right now that have a family and they're going to be homeschooling or e-learning right now, and they have their full-time job. We experienced that in March and all through the summer. But now that I'm going to homeschool my kids, and I don't know how a lot of people are going to handle that. So I really want to make it easier for families to be able to put nutritious food on the table without having to lose their minds, basically.
Yeah, that right there is, like, you're no longer selling dinner.
Right.
Right? You are selling, like, a solution to this huge problem that people have right now.
Yeah.
The mess of, even if they are sending their kids to school, that's not happening, right?
Right.
Like, they're still at home, like, upwards of 50% of the time.
Exactly.
Right? Like, there's a major problem that people are dealing with right now, and like, it's not just so Pizza Hut solves the problem of putting food on the table, right? But what you're doing is way bigger than that.
Yeah. I like to think so.
Yeah.
I think I just need to get the help that I need in the kitchen to put the meals together, and then have more storage probably for the meals to get them out, because we had a lot of good response from the tater tot casserole, and I mean, they're just better ingredients.
Sure.
And people liked it just as well. I mean, I had a couple people say it was the best one they'd ever had. So
Sure. Yeah, that's just it. Like, so we coined this term, and we didn't coin it, but we call these lateral shifts. So basically taking, Coca-Cola and saying, hey, here's this thing called Zevia, where it tastes almost the exact same, but what's inside of this and what's inside of this are wildly different, right? Taking a cookie, we can still make cookies, something that resembles a cookie and tastes like a cookie, without the stuff that's completely damaging about that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of those shifts with every single recipe. We just take it and what can we pull out of it? What can we replace? So.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
So how about, what other sort of pushbacks do you get? Like, or how do you do you, like, you said Aaron was your brother-in-law?
Yeah.
Do you go to his events, or is it just mainly social media content that you're doing, or how are you communicating your message to people?
Well, I have an email that I send out weekly just to let people know that the menu's up. That's pretty much all it is. It's just an alert. And then, social media is where I do my advertising, and then I do the free community yoga almost every time. And that's been a great response. I get a great response from people through that, because I get to put my food out there and people get to taste it. And that's huge for me. So that's pretty much the way that I get the word out. Social media, obviously, you guys know, is the way to go. And I need to do some more marketing through that. And just more like I told you guys earlier, I don't love being on camera, so that's hard for me. But I know how important it is. You're right, camera. But I know how important it is. So I need to do more of that.
So from that, and like in your interactions with people, if they hear about what you do and then they say, well, let me know some more about it.
Yeah.
What has been if there's been any sort of resistance? Is it cost?
Yeah.
Is it,
Yeah. So I would say cost probably is huge for people, but like I compare my stuff to, let's say, I don't compare it there, but if I were to compare it to like the Hy-Vee meals on the go or whatever, have you seen that? Like
Meal time to go.
Yeah, yeah. So I walked in there and I'm like looking at the cost. It's like a piece of salmon, there's some rice and a vegetable, and it's like $2.99 or something, like $3 something. It was ridiculously low. I can't remember, but I'm like, what is in that, and where does the food come from in order for it to be that low in cost? Because I know what my food costs, and I know what I'm charging just so that I can pay my workers and you know, pay myself a little bit. But like, yeah, I mean, I think, but I don't really eat fast food. But do you guys know, like, doesn't fast food cost like $9 or $10 if you're getting a big meal, or not really anymore?
I think so. I mean,
you eat a lot of fast food, so
yeah, right.
I mean, I would like if you even, you know, the dollar menu is something that is well known. Okay,
Sure.
If somebody's eating a cheeseburger, a side, and a drink, like, and then realistically, like, you know, those are always tiny little portions. Like, if you said 2 times that, like, you're very easily at $6 on like the cheapest bottom of the barrel option, right? So yeah, I'm sure like somebody going through the Supremo burger or wherever, like dropping $10 can happen very fast. And then you even look at like a place like, you know, Panera or Chipotle, right? Like, so maybe definitely some better options than McDonald's at those places, but like easily dropping $10-12 on that, and you had to leave the office and drive and go there and all this stuff, like.
Yeah, and I think the argument is that maybe that's fresh, but it's not. I mean, as you know, it's frozen and it's reheated there for you. But so our 4-ounce meals are $10 and our 6-ounce meals are $11. And Sarah Rausch, who I know you know, I'll give her a shout out because she joked about it. But so I was just doing 4 ounces like across the board, and she was like, I was still hungry. I'm like, well, what do you want more of? She's like, more meat. I'm like, okay. So I bumped them up, and I started offering 4 and 6 ounces. So that gives people that, you know, want a little bit more. Yeah. That option. So I hope she listens to this and it's like, thanks for calling me out. But,
Nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's one of the ways that I just handle, like, you know, if people feel like portions aren't big enough or whatever, I mean, well, then you have a 6-ounce option. And also, like, one thing I've been playing around with in my head is just, do we do a higher carb amount? And then if people want less, I can take away, you know, just playing around with those numbers and things and just getting it what I think is best for people and then that people want, because I don't.
So what you're describing right now is really, I mean, in good alignment with how we teach people about food, right? Like I said, our second principle, but our first one talking about food is real food is always first.
Sure.
And we have a hierarchy and an order for a reason. We're always going to judge by what the food is first before we're looking at anything along the lines of macronutrients and volume and all of this stuff, right? So it's like, it sounds like you kind of operate in that same way.
Yep.
Real food is primary.
Yep.
And now you're however many years into this, it's like, okay, like if we want to fine tune and make some adjustments, add some more meat, like higher carb, lower carb, higher fat, like as a secondary thing, let's now dial in more with those things. But we're not going to alter the real food.
The standard, right? And I've actually had somebody ask me that. I was a little bit insulted, but it's okay because I know that's how people think. But they're like, can't you just make a line of food that's not organic and not as clean and cheaper? I'm like, you're missing the point here.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to change that way. So.
Right. So they just wanted the prep.
Right, they just wanted
not the healthy
service.
food.
Yeah.
Hey, there's this thing called frozen dinners.
DoorDash?
No, that's different. Yeah, TV dinners. No, you're talking about just delivery service of.
Well, that's what I was thinking about when she was going through the cost stuff, and you were kind of talking about fast
sure,
food. But
like
I try to order. I tell the story, but I try to order just Chipotle, which is normally I think $8. but because I was going to get it delivered, there was all these service charges and tip, and it came to be like $17 if I just wanted a
right
one thing for Chipotle.
Right.
And people do that all the time.
Oh, for sure.
Especially during this time where, in the beginning when nobody was going out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
DoorDash takes a lot of the profit from you.
Right.
Yeah.
But like then comparing costs, like what's the conversation here? Like if you want the $1.95, what is it? The Healthy Choice, is that the frozen dinner brand? Like,
is that what it is?
Go get it. I don't know. But it's like that's what you're looking for.
Right.
If you're asking to compromise on like the most important thing here of the real food aspect, like why are we talking?
Yeah, right. There's some feedback. I just have to go, just thank you for but there is a lot of feedback, like Sarah's, for example, or that I want to take people's requests. I mean, people will say, I haven't seen this in a while. I want this meal back. We'll bring it back. Or I have this recipe that I'd really like you to make. Will you make it? And we will.
Yeah.
So we always take customers.
Yeah. But then also a big piece of this, and I don't know, like you're doing a little bit of it with consulting, but it's like when we start people on a nutrition program, like we're starting with education.
Sure.
Right? As we're going, we're implementing, but like we understand that I'm not just going to hand you a plan to get you the result you're looking for. That's not helpful, and there's so many things that you can bastardize about that if you don't understand like why we're doing what we're doing.
Sure.
We want to educate on why you're not willing to make that compromise to make a cheaper meal.
Right.
Like because we start with real food, and we want to lay this foundation of, okay, why are we ending up where you're ending up? Mm-hmm. Once we have that, and what we like to say is, once I have taught you how to never look at food the same ever again, now let's go execute. Sure. Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's so cool you guys are doing that. I've heard a lot of good things about your gym and what you guys are trying to do. And talking about emotions, we were talking about that the other day. That's so cool. And that's what health coaches do too. We look at the person as a whole and bio-individuality, like how nobody's, got the same makeup and desires and needs. And
Yeah. Right. I kind of said this already before, but it's like, I'm not a doctor, right? But I understand how the human being is supposed to function.
Yeah.
And if we look at your life and we see where you're not in alignment with what we understand is optimal for the human being, let's start to change things to work towards this.
Right.
We're going to get to the 90-yard line. For you, it seems like that's all it took, right? Some people, maybe beyond that, there's some fine-tuning of things that guys like doctors can deal with, but we're going to clear up a ton of stuff by looking at how we're supposed to live and clearing things up, and we're going to cover a lot of ground.
Yeah, right. And it's like if you're eating a lot of kale and you're eating well, but you have this super toxic relationship. I mean, that's not going. Yeah. You got to balance. Figure out what's going on there before you're going to be
right. And that's even how we look at. You mentioned I'll eat ice cream every once in a while.
Sure.
The additional stress that's added on to I shouldn't be doing this.
Sure.
That's making that thing so much worse for your overall environment of health.
Yeah.
Right. If we most of the time are eating real good foods and then creating space to then go and enjoy, and what we like to tell people is hopefully in a social environment where there's all kinds of other good things happening here.
Sure.
And we're not stressing about let's go to Whitey's tonight, right?
Sure.
That's a totally different environment than gosh, I'm really hungry. Nobody's gonna see me. I'm gonna go through the drive-through and just put this back really quick in a hurry. The stress that's surrounding that,
right.
Those are two wildly different scenarios.
Yes, absolutely.
Both talking about going to get ice cream, massively different scenarios.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, I just see what you're doing is super important.
Thank you.
Necessary for sure in the day and age that we live in. And that's coming from just experience of working with people who are in an unhealthy state, and you see the desire to be healthier and even the desire to make changes but there's so many things that are working against them to be able to get there. And then over time, they just get wore out, and then the desire goes away. You know, it's just much easier to continue living the way that you're living.
Yeah.
So being able to have something like you're doing to say, at least I'm at least going to take this kind of roadblock out of the way, you know, so that you can be successful.
Yeah.
I think that's extremely valuable.
And I think
for people.
time is the biggest barrier for people a lot of the time. I mean, a lot of the situations. So.
Yeah. Right. Again, you're not just selling the solution of the food. Like you are selling healthy food and the time and everything that the time means.
Right.
Like that's huge. That's worth way more than $10 a meal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, thank you.
Folks, we currently find ourselves in the midst of a public health crisis. Kind of like a tornado sweeping through your town. But unfortunately, I think we're a little confused about the actual risks. You see, I'm not referring to the coronavirus as a tornado. No. Actually, I think the coronavirus is more like the breaking news report that tells us we need to take cover. All it's really doing is pointing us to the real threat. The real tornado sweeping through our society is actually the prevalence of metabolic dysfunction that leads to chronic disease and puts us at risk of these severe outcomes. Our metabolic health is a direct result of our lifestyle. The standard American lifestyle is destroying our health and compromising every aspect of our lives. This leaves people feeling defeated and doubting their ability to ever change. At New City, we teach people how to make intentional lifestyle decisions that will result in an optimal state of health, a state of health that is resilient against the burdens of modern life. When people are healthy, they have more freedom to enjoy life. And a community of healthy people grows into a healthy, renewed city. If you're ready to feel confidently in control of your health, rather than fearfully trying to protect it, we are here to help you. If you're ready to roll, or if you have questions about what we do, set up a time to come in and talk to one of our coaches at newcitycrossfit.com/start. One of the things we're going to teach you is that eating real food is really, really important. And our guest on today's show wants to make that really easy for you. Khloe is giving you 10% off your first order with Prep to Table, and she would love to also meet with you for a free consultation to see how Prep to Table can help you reach your nutritional goals. All you have to do is place an order at preptotable.net. Use the code NEWCITY at checkout to get 10% off. That's NEWCITY, NEWCITY, no spaces. You can then pick up your food on Tuesdays at the gym or get free delivery on orders over $45. Preptotable.net, New City at checkout, 10% off, valid through the end of September 2020.
I think we underestimate the significance of stress on our health. So although we want to eat healthy to promote health in our body, I think you make an argument for what you're doing as far as providing these healthy meals for people is not only addressing that component of saying you now have real food, you now have healthy food, you've eliminated this unhealthy food from your diet, and that's going to benefit your health. But also now you don't have to worry about the stress of the meal prep and the cooking and all this stuff of deciding what's going to happen with a family. So now you have two huge things for your health that's going to radically, again, now that you're getting into this family stuff, not only just an individual, you're radically changing a family's health.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, because I think that'll give, moms and dads, if they want the individual meals, and then the family meals, the cost is a little bit lower per serving, so that helps out with that too.
Volume, yeah, cool. What's in these cookies again?
So it's coconut oil. Yeah,
I've got a very restricted diet.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is sugar in that's the only thing I would say that.
Sugar's fine. What's the flour?
It is a gluten-free flour. It is the Domata brand. It's got just 4 ingredients. They're not it's still flour. I can't remember what's in it. Usually these have labels on them, but I didn't bring the label today.
Special delivery doesn't have a label.
I can tell you before I leave because I've got my my app that I can look up all the ingredients.
I have to be way more picky.
What do you restrict?
Oh boy,
Everything.
Let's get into it.
I know Jill said that you're a super healthy eater. So.
Well, and it's really so like I went from like the first I changed my diet, like, you know, it was just a kind of a blind, like what you did. I'm gonna eat real foods. Like at that time, it was like paleo, right?
Right.
No grains, no dairy, you know, no legumes even, and like I was strict with that for quite a while. Over the past, you know, 6 or 7 years or whatever, like I've dabbled in a bunch of different stuff, but.
Sure.
Just recently, thanks to the doctor in the room, I found out that I have Hashimoto's.
Oh, okay.
And like, you know, figuring out, okay, what are, you know, the things contributing to the underlying leaky gut, plus what are other triggers. So right now I eat primarily meat, fruit, and like some roots and tubers. That's about it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, and obviously there's certain things that are going to be way worse than like the grains for me are obviously way over here, but like there's a lot of ground to cover in between
Sure.
the stuff I'm eating and beer and pizza and ice cream and stuff.
Sure.
Right. So
Yeah. So is that like something you'll be doing temporarily to just see what happens?
we'll see.
If
So we one of our principles is we think the human body thrives on a diet that is both plant and animal based. So it's like I don't know how familiar you are with this whole like carnivore wave. People eating just meat. I love the simplicity of it, and I know that it's like there's literally nothing in here that's like plant toxins that are going to affect me in a negative way. I love that, but I also know that the human experience is greatly increased with plants, right? Chocolate and coffee and like all of these amazing things, they're all plant foods, right? So it's like I'm kind of trying to figure out what I can handle and what I can enjoy and like what I can use to create an optimal diet, right? So even looking at how animals are raised and how plants are grown, I think ideally they work together, and in an optimal way they work together to make the healthiest animal foods and the healthiest plant foods kind of simultaneously. So yeah, I'm kind of on a quest to figure out what I can handle.
Yeah. Takes time, doesn't it?
Yeah. So a couple months ago, I kind of like pretty much threw out everything and started over. So.
Great.
Yeah. Cool. Where can people find you?
Prep2table.net is our website.
Okay.
Social media.
Okay.
Prep to Table, Instagram and Facebook. So.
And if somebody wants to order food, they can pick it up here.
Yes.
What's the cadence there?
Okay, so our new menu is always posted on Tuesday.
Okay.
And you can pick it up. So let me say that again. New menu posted Tuesday. If you could order by Thursday, you can have anything you want. Thursday, we shut it down. There are some extras on the menu over the weekend. But then pickup is at New City CrossFit on Tuesdays.
Cool. So you're ordering Tuesday for pickup the following Tuesday.
Yes.
Yep. Menu goes up Tuesday. You've got 2 days open, and then the following Tuesday is when you pick it up from the fridge in here.
If you want to have it delivered, we do deliveries on Monday nights.
Okay.
So
cool.
That's also an option. Yeah.
Very cool.
Sweet.
Right on.
Thanks for having me today, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Being on camera.
Yeah.
Favorite.
Made it here to the end of the show. Thank you so much for listening all the way through. If you like what you hear, here's what you need to do. You need to subscribe, because then You don't have to be scrolling through your feed and seeing when we got a new show. It's just going to show up in your feed, guys. It's the easiest thing to do. Make things easier for yourself and subscribe for yourself. Subscribing, it's the best thing that you can do, right? You can like us on Facebook and Instagram. All of the stuff. If you're listening on the audio version, you can watch the video version on YouTube. Hey, we would also love for you to give us some feedback. Comment, review, let us know what you think. If there's stuff you want to hear us talk about, if there's people you want us to interview, let us know, okay? But again, thank you for your attention. Really appreciate it. Catch you guys next time.